what I'm hearing. But yeah, I wanted to, I guess the way that I've been working for probably the last 25, maybe actually, at this stage is even longer. It is that deep listening to the body and listening to what the body is calling for. And like most of us, I have had a kind of a long journey with trauma and with fatigue, particularly, and have really had to listen to my own knowing a lot more deeply than I would have ever thought. And I think it just becomes deeper and deeper as the years go on. And through the, one of the beautiful ways of working with the breath. I mean, I came to all of this work as a yoga teacher, and trained for many years in India, and the breath, which we would all be familiar with in yoga, is the pranayama breaths that even then, even at that kind of younger age, felt very forceful to me. And they felt very stimulating, but not in a way that the stimulation could kind of be integrated. It felt like a kind of a sudden blast of energy through me, rather than a kind of a natural wave of breath through me. And so I think, very early on, actually, even in all of my years of teaching yoga, I can't think of one time that I taught that level of pranayama, because I was much more interested in, well, why was my body not able to breathe? What was holding it back? What was keeping my my fuller sense of myself alive? Or what was keeping it restricted? What was keeping it in pain? What was keeping it in emotional distress? And I guess over the last 10 years or so, I've become more fully into training with trauma. And I've had the privilege, really privilege actually, of training with some beautiful touch therapy trauma teachers. Aline Lapierre would have been one, Stephen Terrell another. And some of the work that I'm loving at the moment is Deb Dana. And I'll tell you why I love Deb Dana. It's not even what she says about the polyvagal so much. It's how she is with it. And I think it's something about her recognition. She's a beautiful quote, actually, that I love. And I'm trying to, I did write it down so I wouldn't forget it. Yes, I know what it is. She calls, the whole container of the polyvagal is around, it's really around the science of safety, of feeling safe enough to feel alive in the world. And I take that, you can extrapolate that into the breath. And, for me, breathing is dependent on feeling safe enough in the world, safe enough to be who we are, safe enough to be with all of our experiences, and safe enough to slow down. Yeah, to slow down for long enough so that we can really kind of catch up with ourselves. And I think so there's a little bit of that I want to bring into this session. I'm not sure how to make my screen bigger. So because when we go into the movement, I'd like to do that. Can anybody fill me in on that? I'm tapping my screen, hoping that it will make it bigger. Hold on. Nope, that hasn't helped. Oh, there we go. Actually, Arifali, you keep on appearing on my screen. You are me. Arifali, is it possible for you maybe to reduce your screen? Oh, maybe Arifali can't hear me. Okay, let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, one tick. So, and I wanted to expand it because I want to bring us into the practice of breathing so that we can, and exploring it in a way that we can feel safe enough in our body. So I'm really kind of aware for those of you with pain issues that you really take care of yourselves in this. One of the things that I did ask you to bring along, if you have it, is either a small a towel, a medium-sized towel, or just to roll it. Roll it quite thinly, and you're going to be placing this underneath the back of your heart. So I'm going to join you on the floor somehow or another, because I think it might be nice to see what I'm doing as well. So if you could just give me one moment to do that, I'm just going to disconnect myself here. And Rabia, I don't have my watch. Could you tell me, I think I have about 20 minutes or so for this exploration. Could you give me a shout when I'm near that time? Is that possible? Yeah, great, okay. Okay. Wonderful, great. So here is my flat roll. So it's not up very high. So if you come down, so as I say, this is going to be in the thoracic area, around the back of your heart. So if you want to bend your knees and just find a way to rolling down, and just kind of squiggle around until you feel a place that, let me just move this, until you feel a lift in the ribs, but you don't feel a discomfort in the lower back. And if you do feel a bit of discomfort in the lower back, you can just lift up the hips a little bit and just put a squidge, a little bit of a cushion underneath the bum. Okay. So Rifali has already kind of led you into this practice so well, so I don't really have to do an awful lot to set you up here. But what I would like you to notice, without doing anything, without you having to do anything, is just how your body is breathing right now. Placing one hand onto your chest, one hand onto your belly. And just to listen as I breathe in, where in me is breathing? Where in me feels safe enough to take at least a little drink of breath? So we're not trying to change the breath in this moment. We're just listening to how the breath is with us. How is the breath with us in the upper chest? How about our shoulders, our neck? And just letting that be your baseline breathing awareness in this moment. And very slowly go ahead and just bring the arms out to the sides. So you're in a T shape. The arms are in a T shape. And even here, as you bring the arms out into T shape, just notice the little subtle differences in the breath as you bring your arms out to the side. And from that position, could you just bring your fingers so that they're pointing up towards the ceiling? So this is a practice that I've been doing a lot during our COVID lockdown because my breath has often stopped. And it's taken from my somatic trainings that I've done with many different teachers. So I just want you to feel your cactus fingers, like your 5 fingers pointing up towards the ceiling. And you can either have your legs out long or you can have your legs as I do. Feet flat on the floor and knees pointing up towards the ceiling. And just take a look at your hands, just to see, go from right to left and notice, is your right and left hand the the same distance away from your body. You just want to notice how do you rearrange yourself here? And then when it looks and feels like, yeah, they're both kind of parallel to the body, I want you very, very slowly just to begin to bring the palms of the hands down towards the ground, down in the direction of the feet, as the chin comes up towards the ceiling. Just a little bit. And then coming back to the center. And just continuing with that movement. And be very mindful as you bring the chin up towards the ceiling that you don't just thrust the chin up, but you're listening to what happens in the back of your body. So particularly, if you've got any pain in the neck, I would suggest that you don't bring the chin up towards the ceiling, but just stay with bringing the hands down towards the floor. And as you do this, then you take your attention to how your shoulders are moving. And how your collarbones move. Or do your collarbones move, might be the question. And go slowly enough and gently enough that you could feel like you could do this for hours on end. Without pain, without tiring yourself out. And just take a moment's pause and back to the center. You can let the arms come out to your T shape again. And as you let the arms come out to the T shape, just notice how the shoulders are landing on the ground after doing that small exploration. How the breath is in your body. I'm not expecting any big shifts here, but you're inviting the breath to shift a little bit as your ribs begin to open up. And I'd like you to take that kind of curiosity into the same exploration. Waiting for me. Just take your hands onto your chest. And maybe one hand onto a rib that might feel a little bit more constricted than the other rib. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take you through in an auditory way rather than a visual, so you can let your eyes rest and you can let your nervous system rest. And checking out the chest rib kind of connection, we're going to bring our arms out to the side again, and they're in a T shape once more. And once again, can you bring your fingers up towards the ceiling? And as you move the hands down towards the feet, chin comes up a little bit towards the ceiling. How do the ribs move? Just noticing that. Do they move downwards or upwards? Just continuing that exploration. How can my ribs move together like an accordion? The ribs squeeze in together and they're squeezing out the out breath as they do this. So it's like they're squeezing out you could say the over oxygenation in our blood cells that can cause fatigue. And as you stay with that, as the ribs come together, what happens to the lower back? Does that come a little bit closer to the floor? So that you can feel the diaphragm in the belly moving towards the diaphragm in the chest. You just stay exploring this connection with the pelvic diaphragm and the thoracic diaphragm. And in this moment, we're just exploring it as they come together. Just one or two more times. Feel the contraction in the abdomen as this happens. And as you release out, feeling the release in the diaphragm in the pelvis, but also in the thoracic area. So that you can feel the ribs just spreading themselves out to the side. In whatever way that comes to you right now. You're beginning to feel perhaps a little bit more space emerging for the breath to emerge. Good, and letting go of that, and just letting the hands rest down by the side for another moment. And placing both hands onto your ribs. And placing them onto your lower ribs, just below your chest. And placing them on your ribs in a way that feels connecting somehow, that feels welcome to your ribs. And just listen as the inhale flares the ribs out a little bit to make the palms of the hands a little bit more. And as you exhale, could you very lightly just push into the ribs, just as if you're really kind of holding them firmly and securely. And hold the breath there for a moment or two. Hold the breath until you're ready for another inhalation. And as you inhale, can you feel the ribs spreading into your hands once again, into the palms of your hands? And then following through when you're ready with your exhalation. And holding the exhalation, holding the ribs in place. Not in a forceful way, but just in a way that's saying, I'm here, I'm holding you. And then when your body feels ready to inhale, let it do so. And let that inhale spread out to the side a little bit as your ribs begin to relax. And one more time, just feeling that breath as an invitation into the lungs. And then followed by the exhalation. Bringing everything back as if you're squeezing yourself back into your midline, into the center of yourself. And you're just holding the ribs and the breath there in your midline until there's that impulse to breathe in once again. To let the ribs melt away from each other and the hands to soften. And the breath perhaps to travel a little bit further out towards the side than it may have been doing earlier. And just continuing to let the hands rest there. Allowing your hands to listen to your breath as if your hands had ears. Ears that could attune to the softest rhythm of breath. And as you take that soft attuning energy, that soft attuning presence towards yourselves in a very compassionate way, just listening to a place in the ribs. It may be where you have your hands, it may be a little bit higher up. That might be feeling a little unsure about breathing. Might be feeling a little bit unsure about whether it's okay to actually be in this body of mine and take a full deep breath. Where might that place be in you? And could you just let your hands move towards that place? Just join that place with your hands, with your attention. And without forcing the breath in any way whatsoever, just letting this part of you know that it's okay that the breath is as it is. But might there be something that this place needs that might let this place know that or feel that it's safe enough to breathe? And drop that question away from the head. And just listen. Listen with your breath body. Listen with your heart body. What might this place in me need to feel a little safer? Just noticing if any images or colors arise that feel soothing for this place. Not demanding that it lets you know what it needs. But just letting this place know that you're here when it's ready to let you know what it might need. Maybe listen long enough. It may whisper to you. With the softest of breaths, what might allow it to feel a little easier? And it may be that this place just needs to know that you're here right now. It needs to know that you're listening. It may not be happening yet, but if you have the slightest sense of what this place might need, could you give it a drop, a homeopathic drop of what it needs right now? And let that drop just soak itself into this place. And if there's nothing with you right now, can you just stay present and open and curious? To what might emerge in later explorations. But you also notice that just by letting your presence rest here, that something in you notices that you're there. Something in you might be able to soften a little bit. So that the breath has more space the body has more space to be breathed into. And that might only be 2% more space right now. But that's absolutely enough. We're just going to take a few more moments here. And letting your attention move less directly from this space, just to sense through the rest of the body. And to perhaps even notice whether anything has shifted there. You know, may not be in this direct place that we've been giving attention to, but it might be a little shift in the overall sense of how you're breathing. You might like to go back to your original position, and just bringing your arms out to your side. And if you choose to, you can stay exploring that place that you've been focusing on. But if you have brought your arms out to the side, bring them up once again, out towards the ceiling. Fingertips pointing up, and then letting them drop down towards the earth as the chin reaches up towards the ceiling. And just check, is anything a little bit smoother for you right now? Are your arms able to go a little bit closer to the floor? And as the chin moves up towards the ceiling, perhaps you can feel the tiniest bit of ease in the shoulders so they don't feel so strained. Or perhaps it could be that the pelvic diaphragm is moving or feels a little bit more connected to the thoracic diaphragm. Something in that relationship may have shifted. Now we're just looking for small little movements now, because if we're working with chronic fatigue, chronic pain, we are working with trauma. So we want to work bit by bit by bit, moment by moment. So just go ahead now and take the hands back down, taking them on the ribs once more, and just letting the hands just move around the ribs, around the lower belly, down around the hips, just letting your body know that you're moving outwards, you're going to be moving back.
Let your breathing become deeper here, just to finish the session off and see if Deirdre can sign in again. And slowly bring some movement into your body by wriggling your fingers, your toes, or even moving your head from side to side. And if you like, you can also give yourself a nice little stretch here. Yawn Extend, make yourself as tall as you can, and do whatever feels good in your body. And if you're ready, you can roll to your favorite side, make yourself as small as you can, resting here for the moment. And then slowly rolling up over the side into sitting and taking a moment just to notice how your breath is, how you're feeling. And then you can slowly let your breathing become deeper, bringing a little bit more energy into your body here, maybe moving your shoulders, your arms, doing whatever feels good. And arriving here to your room with us.
Oh yes, I went back into the exploration, the first exploration, to see what had shifted and what had changed.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really just to feel that. But maybe if anybody has a question, or to even let me know what they may have experienced or felt, or they want any clarification on where I was going with that.
So anyone a question for Deirdre?
I would just offer thank you for creating that experience in that space, and since so many of us are either teaching classes or having meetings or doing counseling sessions or whatever online, I wanted to draw attention to how beautifully you created a resonant relationship in this online space, and that is possible, that is something we can do across a distance, with the medium being these devices, that we can still do that, and you did it so beautifully. So thank you.